All right. All right, guys, we're back for episode 5. I have a new friend joining me today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christel Arucci, and the best place to find me on the internet is at embodywealthy.com. You can also find my name, which neither of them are easy to spell, Christel Arucci, on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and all the places. Would love to connect on the interwebs.
On the interwebs. That's the fancy term for us people. So tell me a little bit kind of about yourself and where you're at of the stage of life.
Yes. Well, let's talk about age, right? Because it is so easy in our culture for women to age.
I know.
Right. So I'm in the US, and I believe that Stacey, you're in the US as well. Yes.
Yes, I'm in Missouri.
Yes. So dominant culture says that women lose our value as we get older, right? That there's this very narrow, limited place where a woman has value. And so where I am is I am 49, going to be 50 in about 6 months. And I'm in that phase of my body changing, my relationship with myself changing, wrestling with that, like, I missed out, I'm late, in that I haven't achieved the kind of success that I want to achieve in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And also being in that, like, self-love has been a practice, self-care has been a practice that's been important to me since I was a child because of my own struggles with health. But really getting to the bottom of it, of like, okay, why am I doing self-care? Can I really love the way that my body is changing? Do I really love that it's not the same as it used to be when I was 25?
Mm-hmm.
So getting down into an even deeper level of embodiment, of care and love for this vehicle and for my life and the struggles I've had, as well as like holding the vision of what's possible and my potential, being like, I'm not late. I didn't miss the boat.
Not at all. Not at all. I kind of feel the same way you do. I just turned 45 this year. This is the first birthday in my whole life that I ever like was kind of like affected by it, where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 45. Oh my gosh, like, am I too late for this? Am I too late for this? Like, I want to do this. And I own a cheer and tumbling gym outside of this. So I'm in a very young industry where the majority of my peers are in their mid 20s, early 30s. They're just starting their lives. And I'm like on the other side where I've had kids and they're getting ready to go to college and all that stuff. So I'm struggling with the age is a number. It's only a number. It's only a number. So I get where you're coming from, that window of, oh, do I have enough time still? So that is amazing. So tell me some of this, because self-care is a big thing for me also that I'm working on. I'm terrible at doing it for myself, but I'm really working on it. Kind of tell me some of the things you do for self-care that really help you.
Yes. Well, first, I have to add the disclaimer that I do not have children. And so that makes it different, right? That it's like I can prioritize myself because I don't have children and I don't live with anyone. I don't have a partner that I live with. So that being said, I struggled with health issues as a child. And so I was kind of forced to build in self-care and self-love as a child, because literally I would be dead if I didn't, because the health challenges were so extreme. So for me, nutrition and movement and meditation and self-inquiry and self-expression, I would say, and nature are foundational pieces that have been built in since I was a child. So I have that foundation and they are non-negotiables in my life. And again, partly because I kind of had no choice. But I think that it's important to find the things that work for us and that feel good, right? Like self-care can become this, like, I have to do these things. So it's like, where can we blend that self-care with the self-love of like, this feels good to me, like being in nature every day, going for a walk every day, no matter what the weather, for me is joyful. Whereas for some person, they're like, oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
So
It's a hard, when you've never really done it, um, to go from, you know, years ago when my kids were younger, I was really good at kind of taking care of myself. And as they got older and our lives got busier and my life got busier and my career got busier, that kind of went on the back burner. And now I'm at the point in my life where I'm struggling with my health. I'm struggling with feeling good about myself. I'm struggling with, just being able to just like, I'm going for a walk and I don't care what anyone thinks, I'm like, oh, well, somebody's going to need to get a hold of me and I'm going to have to do this and I'm going to have to do this. So to hear from someone that this has been ingrained in you for such a long time is absolutely phenomenal. That's something I think that we should be teaching our children at a young age, because we're teaching them go, 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 go. I think COVID has slowed that down a bit. Would you agree?
I would agree it's slowed it down, but our culture is super dysfunctional. And especially, I would say it's even worse for girls, women, and moms. It's like amplified the like, you should not have your own needs. You should take care of everyone else. You should not know, and so I think that part of the way that we condition girls in our culture is so problematic,
Yeah.
right? It's like, how do we teach a girl to care for herself, not because of how she looks, but how she feels?
Yes. And making that a priority.
Right. And also like carrying, like I put jewelry on today, I put earrings on, and I do that out of self-love, right? So like it's that like relearning how we are conditioned and the things and the like weight we put on to women and girls, that it's like, if I want to put on makeup, it's because I love that. If I want to wear a dress, it's because I love that. And so it's like finding those things, like not disowning the things that like the dysfunctional beauty standards, but finding the things that really feel good and supporting girls and finding that at a young age. Like, I think that especially the younger generations, like I grew up before social media. Thank goodness, right? I can't imagine the pressure of social media growing up now. It's totally different reality. So finding what really feels good and the things that we're doing for ourselves, knowing that giving from a place of fullness is creating wealth in our lives and our families, right? Is changing that belief that giving to myself is a way of giving to everyone around me. And that's not what we're taught. That's not how we're conditioned.
Yeah, we're not conditioned to do any of that stuff naturally. And if we don't do that, then you end up a mess. Right? Like you're not taking care of your basic needs in life. So tell me a little bit about your social media journey and what you're trying to get out there in the world. Because that interests me a lot.
About social media and connecting.
No, but like what you specifically are doing, like with your embodiment, your body empowerment, and kind of talking about that. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes. It starts from the daily practices, right? Meditation, journaling, movement, breath, ways of really landing in my body, being at peace with my body, and at least befriending it, which being at peace with your body can be like a moving target in a way. So always. Befriending my body, accepting my body, acknowledging what my body does for me, because I think being at peace can be this aspiration that's impossible to achieve. So it's like, okay, my hip is feeling tight. How can I be with that instead of making it wrong? Mm-hmm. So for me, in what I share on social media and what I try to consume from social media is the embodied practice of being where I am in my life. Right? I am 49. I am in this body. I've experienced these things in my life. I've experienced this trauma. So how can I fully bring myself into the present moment instead of into the trauma, the stress, the struggle from the past, or the stress of the future, is to be like, what is inspiring me here today? And how can I share on social media from that place of deep connection without seeking validation, right? Because I know I get stuck sometimes. Like I posted something, like, did somebody like it, right? It's like seeking that external validation, but really using social media more as an expression of real life, right? Of my life, the challenges and the incredibly beautiful things that I am experiencing, is like allowing it to come from the inside out instead of trying to meet the external validation or the conditioning or the things. Is like not doing it for them, doing it for me, trusting that in expressing my truth, my experience, my struggle, that it will benefit the people that resonate with me in my work.
What is your biggest, like, if you were, obviously we're meeting for the first time, I feel like I've known you forever. What would be your biggest give back to someone like me or the others? There's millions of us out there. What would be kind of your first tip on how to start that real good self-care?
Breathing.
Just breathing.
Well, just not just breathing, because of course you are breathing. You've been breathing your entire life, unless there was some crisis that made you not breathe. But supporting, because I think that making breathing a conscious daily practice, it helps us land in the present moment. Because if you are feeling your body as you're breathing, it helps us move beyond the mind into the body, right? So it's like when the mind is on overdrive, you're automatically breathing. But if you can slow down, like one of the first things I teach my clients and for free on social media is a 1 breath meditation, which I think is extra valuable for moms, right? It's like, you don't need an hour to meditate in a cave, you know, on the elusive far off mountain and take a retreat that takes 10 days. It's like, you're at a stop signal, 1 breath. Can you fully pay attention to your own experience, not to push anything away or to pull anything towards you for 1 breath? Or, you know, your child is screaming and it sounds like your children are older, so you might not have this anymore, but like, mom, can you pause and take 1 breath before you respond? That's advanced level practice. But I think that is the gateway where the only expectation is 1 breath. And how often will we try for 1 breath and the mind wanders? And that also, it also gets us out of the like beating ourselves up. It's like, oh, well, I messed it up on that 1 breath. Good thing another breath is coming. I get another chance. So to me, the 1 breath meditation, the 1 breath embodiment is like, there's always another chance. I'm not late. I didn't miss it. I can try again in the next breath, in the next moment, is to feel as much of my body and experience to be here in this room, connecting with you right here, right now.
That's something I'm really, really working on, is my breathing, because I notice that I do struggle with always going 900 miles an hour. And I was at the doctor's the other day and they checked my heart rate and they're like, your heart rate is like 110. And I'm like, it's been running like that for weeks. And I think a lot of that has to do with the I'm not stopping, taking that breath, refocusing my energy on like me. I'm worried about juggling all these balls in the air. And I know there are so many women and men out there too that are struggling with that. And I'm starting to see it in my industry. When they get to 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, they're trying to do all these things. You know, they're trying to be a competitive cheerleader, a high school cheerleader, there's student council, this, and mom and dad want me to do this, and I have to have straight A's. And I see these kids and I think back to high school and I'm like, My parents just wanted me to be here on curfew. Like, that's all they cared about. Where are you? And are you home at curfew? And these poor kids have all these things. And I was kind of, I don't want to use the word shunned as a mom, because my kids were focused on one sport. Like, I only ever allowed them to do one thing, but they fully did it, and in a very high level. But both of them are ultra focused. And both my kids, I can tell you, my daughter especially, she's very good at kind of pulling herself in and taking care of herself, and that take a breath. And she has a 2-year-old and very much of the mommy stage. And she's very calm, and it's, we need to teach that at a younger age, because I believe it's now shifted, that stress is shifted down to the younger age groups. So would you
Yes.
agree?
Yes. And especially about the focus piece, especially because kids grow up with a cell phone in their hand and instant access to everything, the lack of ability to focus is I think that is a beautiful gift that you gave your children, is like, focus and go deep, and be committed and dedicated to cultivating your abilities in
Yep.
one area. And also, I think that is spilling over into your daughter's parenting, right? Is the, like, she can be present in a way because she learned to be in the intensity of focus, right? Because there is an intensity of focus. And I think especially for the younger generations of that, like, being connected with the body, because there's so much stimulation on the outside, social media and phones and virtual reality and games and instant access to the world on our phone device in our pocket, right? Is that, like, being present with ourselves and with other humans, for some of the younger generations, is like completely foreign.
They have no idea. They have no
Right.
idea. So how do you balance your work life and everything that you do?
Well, I think that I take time, as I said, I'm unusual in the level of daily practices that I have.
Mhm.
And part of that is by design. I built my life this way because I needed to, because of health challenges I had growing up. But for me, it's like my day always starts with daily practices: movement, breath, journaling, sounding, centering on what I want to do with my day. But then throughout the day, like, every time I stand up, I move my body, I take a deeper breath. So for me, it is woven into my activities. And a huge part of my business is how to make everything sacred. So when I'm doing business, it's not this separate, linear, logical process.
Mhm.
It's a deeply spiritual practice of engaging on social media, working with my clients. So this level of embodiment is woven into everything that I do. For
Mhm.
me, I do love my work. So there can be an element of everything becomes work for me. But as I said, like, because in my childhood, like, my life depended upon this work, there can be a way of, like, somebody would look at my life and say, your work is everything. And I'm like, yes, it is my life's work.
Yep.
So because that is it, how do I make my life my greatest masterpiece? So, and that works for me, right? And again, I've built my life so that it's like, I don't have children, I don't have a partner that I live with, and so therefore I have this freedom of making my life my work, and
Being able to
making
build
my,
time.
yeah, that it's built in. Time for myself is built into every day. So it's not like I'm sitting at the computer 18 hours a day stressing myself. It's like there's windows where I am working on the computer, but then I get up and go outside and sit in the sun and breathe deep, or I get up and get my hula hoop and dance, or so
Love that.
there is this balance of, like, the logical linear part, and then also the like intuitive, in the flow, in the present moment, is all woven in for me.
So do you take online clients? Is that how you, or do you do only in person, or how does your business work?
Well, COVID changed everything in that way. Before COVID, I had about 50-50. I had in-person clients and clients that live all over the country or all over the world. So now everything is still all remote. I have not been working with in-person clients, that I have not reopened that. But I started as an in-person energy worker, massage therapist, yoga teacher. So for many years, my work was all in person.
Yeah.
And then I transitioned, I started adding the remote work in about 2010. So there's been a blend. And then of course, COVID has made me reevaluate everything but the beautiful thing is now when I do add in-person work, it will be more from the place of inspiration and what I really want to be doing, rather than feeling like people won't work with me if I don't see them in person.
Yeah. So are you taking new clients on right now? Is that something that?
Yes.
Okay, well, perfect. Well, what we will do is I will make sure that we put everything in the show notes for this, so that anybody can reach you, because I think what you offer is something truly amazing. It's something I think after you and I finish this conversation, I'd like to talk to you more kind of on my end, because I think it's something that'll be really beneficial. Well, I am so happy you joined me today. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Your message was absolutely amazing. Do you have anything you want to finish out by saying, or?
Yeah, so I so appreciate this opportunity to connect with you and to share my words of wisdom with your community. And my closing thought is that every single person is worthy and deserving of taking care of yourself, of loving yourself, of building that in that and healing the wounds that keep us from taking that action, which a lot of it again is cultural programming. So going to that place of like taking one breath for yourself and building that one breath at a time, instead of, I have to go meditate on the mountain, is like one breath at a time to fill yourself, to then be able to give to everyone in your life, your family, your community, the world.
Well, I think I'm going to name this episode One Breath at a Time, because that's a perfect analogy for those of us who struggle, and a really good way for us to start. So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you, and we will talk soon.
Thank you.